Don't toast salt like this. If you toast it the way most people do, you shut off a code that many don't even know exists and, without realizing it, close doors in your home, at your table, and at your work. Today I'm going to show you the mistake almost no one sees, the correct way to activate it without exaggerations, and the deeper reason why this small gesture, when done with respect, changes the atmosphere of your home and the direction of your decisions. Stay, because in a few seconds, I'll show you the exact sign that confirms whether you've been using it wrong, and within a minute, you'll hear an ancient story in which salt made the difference between barrenness and fruit. Breathe with me and pay attention. Maybe you felt for a while that you work more than you receive, that money slips away like water, that peace at home lasts very little, that a simple conversation ends in wear and tear. Many look for big answers, but sometimes you have to start by ordering the small things. Today, we're going to order the small things, the salt, the fire, and your intention. If you do this right, you're going to notice measurable signs, calmer conversations, a wiser financial decision, an unnecessary expense you choose not to make, a call that arrives on time, a night of deep sleep. This isn't superstition. It's focus. It's learning. It's ordering the visible to educate the invisible. In 10 seconds, I'll tell you mistake number 1 that turns good salt into dead salt when it hits the heat. Before that, commit with me now. Write in the comments, I choose order in the small things and peace in my home. If you value clear, practical words, subscribe now and turn on the bell so you don't miss what's coming. Let's continue. Here comes mistake number 1. Mistake number 1, using metal utensils over live flame and toasting in a rush. Metal heats up all at once, scorches the fine salt crystals, and creates dead spots, bitter zones that smell burnt. When salt turns yellowish or shows little brown specks, it's no longer useful for this practice. It's dead salt for this purpose. The correction is simple: thick base or clay, medium heat, wooden spoon, and patience. The salt should heat up, not brown. Listen to the sound. It should be a soft crackle, never sputtering or smoke. If there's smoke, you're late. In 20 seconds, I'll show you a finger test to know if you're on track, but first understand something deeper. Salt is not just any object. It symbolizes preserving what's good, giving flavor, sustaining character. There's a phrase that says, "You are the salt of the earth." It's not about etiquette. It's about purpose. Salt represents firmness, permanence, care for what matters. When you use it any old way, as if it were nothing, your heart learns to treat what's valuable as disposable. When you use it with respect, your mind learns to honor processes. That's the code we're going to talk about today: attention, intention, and obedience in small things. There's another phrase that says our words should be seasoned with salt. It's a powerful image. Salt isn't seen, but it's felt. It doesn't shout, but it transforms. That discreet and powerful is how what you build at home should be. Now yes, the confirmation test. When you do it right, the salt is dry, loose, with a clean aroma and no smoke. Run 2 fingers over it once it's warm and feel the grains alive, not sticky. If you notice caramelized hard bits or gummy clumps, you used too much heat or mixed what you shouldn't have. And here comes another very common mistake: adding sugar over the heat. Sugar caramelizes, sticks, turns into molasses, and steals from salt its main function. If you want to sweeten the atmosphere, do it with words and actions, not with sugar on the fire. A touch of bay leaf or a pinch of cinnamon can be used, but never over the heat, only afterward, with the salt warm, so they add a gentle note without burning. Stay, because in a minute I'll tell you how to use a pinch at the threshold of the house, another at the table, and another on your hands, in a sober and practical way. Before going on, I want to tell you a story that cuts through time. There was a city with bad waters and barren land. People lived in a cycle of effort without fruit, projects that wouldn't germinate, and accumulated fatigue. A man of God asked for a new bowl and salt. He walked to the spring, threw the salt at the point of origin, spoke life, and from that day the waters were healed and the land produced. Why am I telling you this? Because salt became a visible sign of an invisible decision, to cut off barrenness and announce fruit. I'm not talking about magic or empty recipes. I'm talking about a gesture that trains the heart to stop feeding what doesn't give life and to sustain what does. When you take the salt correctly, regulate the heat and guard your words while you move it. You're training your mind to choose paths that add, not subtract. Back to the kitchen. Imagine the sunset. The table cleared, the area clean. You place a pan with a thick base. Medium heat. You add a moderate amount of salt without filling it. You start moving in slow circles with the wooden spoon. While you stir, don't complain. Complaint is an acid. If you heat the salt while complaining, you brand the moment with bitterness. Better say softly, God, order my home, guard my going in and my coming out, give me wisdom to open the right doors. You don't have to shout, you don't have to dramatize. Simple words, said with respect, are enough. Keep the movement. If you see smoke, remove it. If you hear sputtering, your heat is wrong. If the salt changes color, pause and start again. In 30 seconds, I'll tell you exactly when to stop and how to let it cool without blowing on it. Stop when the salt is dry, loose, and clean. Don't blow on it. Don't put it in the cold. Let it cool on its own. If you decide to add bay leaf, crumble a leaf between your fingers when it's already warm, not hot, and mix only once. If you add the tiniest pinch of cinnamon, let it be off the heat and without insisting. Remember, the protagonist here is the order of the heart and well-made salt. Now I'll show you 3 concrete, respectful uses, without exaggeration and without theatrics. First use the door threshold. With the salt now warm, take a pinch between thumb and index finger. Place a tiny fraction on the left side of the frame and another on the right, on the exterior. Say softly, peace to those who enter and to those who leave. This harms no one, imposes nothing. It's a reminder, your home is for building, not destroying. Second use, the table. Before eating, clean a corner of the table. Place a tiny pinch, almost symbolic. It's a visual anchor, gratitude lives here. Conversation here has salt, not acid. The bread is honored here. Words here build up. Read this softly if you want. May what we say today be seasoned with grace and truth, without shouting or reproach. Third use, your hands. Rub a pinch and shake off the excess. Don't leave it stuck to you. As you feel the grain, say, my hands build, not destroy. Then wash with water. Simple, clean, powerful. In 30 seconds, we're going to answer common objections, and at the 2-minute mark, I'll tell you a dramatized testimony that will help you understand how the signs look in real life. If this guide is helping you, subscribe now and share this video with someone who needs peace in their home. Write in the comments, today I choose order in the small things. Now, objections and quick answers, so nothing holds you back. Can I use fine salt? Yes, but coarse salt tolerates heat better. If you use fine salt, lower the heat more and move it more calmly. How often should I do it? Once a week for 3 weeks is enough to start. Afterward, once a month as a reminder. Don't turn it into an empty routine. Can I add leaves or spices? Yes, but off the heat and in small amount. And if it burned, it's okay. Learn, rest 2 minutes and try again. Will this make me a millionaire? It will make you wiser. It will train you to decide better. True wealth begins with wisdom, honest work, discipline, and the right doors. That's the root. And if someone at home makes fun of me, don't argue. Salt is not a weapon against people. It's a silent reminder for you. And if I live in a small apartment, perfect. Order doesn't depend on the size of the space, but on the intention with which you inhabit it. And if I'm sad, don't rush. Breathe first, then prepare. Hurry harms.
Should I do it morning or night?
Choose calm moments, at dawn or at day's end. What should I read if I want to sustain this? 2 brief readings that sustain the symbol. You are the salt of the earth. Let your words be seasoned with salt. Read them slowly. Let one phrase accompany you while you move the spoon. Now the dramatized testimony. One afternoon, Laura comes home tired. The table is a battlefield of things without a place. Her head throbs. She promises herself not to argue, but knows a spark would be enough. She opens the window, puts basic order in place, sets a thick-based pan, medium heat, coarse salt, wooden spoon. No one is watching her. Better that way, she thinks. She moves in slow circles. She doesn't complain. Softly she whispers, God, order my home, guard my going in and my coming out. There's no smoke. The salt sounds like dry rain. She turns off the heat, lets it cool. She crumbles a bay leaf with her fingers. A pinch at the threshold, another at the table. She rubs a little on her hands and washes them. That night, without speeches, dinner has a different tone. One person picks up the phone and sets it down. Another asks a question and listens to the answer. Laura doesn't explain what she did. She just observes. 2 days later, she receives a call from a client who had disappeared. They pay what they owed and propose new work. It's not magic, it's order, it's decision. It's a clearer mind to choose. 3 days later, an argument that would have escalated before stops halfway because someone remembers the table phrase, let our words have salt. There's no applause. There is peace. And peace, I assure you, is worth more than noise. Now I want to give you 7 silent mistakes that kill results, even if you do all of the above right. First silent mistake, speaking with constant harshness. Harsh words turn any gesture into an empty act. Replace them with brief, precise phrases. Second silent mistake, complaining while you cook. Turn those minutes into gratitude training. Third, hurry. Anxiety kills the process. Medium heat, not high. Fourth, using salt to impose or humiliate. Never do that. It's not against people. Fifth, turning this into a routine without heart. Better fewer times, but with intention. Sixth, constant visual clutter. Before you start, clear the table. External order educates internal order. Seventh, incoherence with money. If you want wise doors, record your expenses. Use a notebook with 3 columns. Necessary, useful, desire. Mark with an A what adds, and with an S what subtracts. For adds, S for subtracts. In 30 days, you'll be surprised at how many decisions change just by looking with honesty. Now, I'll propose a 7-day map to turn this into a habit without wearing yourself out. Day 1, learn. Watch this content in full and write down the 7 mistakes. Day 2, practice. Prepare a small portion of salt. Day 3, order. Clean the table and the kitchen area. Eliminate visual noise. Day 4, speak better. Choose one phrase you won't say again and replace it with a life-giving one. For example, instead of "this always happens," say "today we choose to build." Day 5, share. Teach this practice respectfully to someone you love. Day 6, decide. Use the AS notebook and cut an expense that subtracts. Day 7, give thanks. Read those 2 phrases about salt slowly and write 1 gratitude for the smallest change you noticed. This map is intentional. Small steps, big effects. I also want to give you a walkthrough of home spaces so you know where and how to use this practice without exaggeration. Entrance, a tiny pinch on the sides of the outer frame with the phrase "peace to those who enter and to those who leave." Living room, don't put salt on sofas or furniture. Here the salt is in your words. Choose a golden rule. Don't interrupt while the other person finishes their thought. Kitchen, you already know, clear table. A corner with a symbolic pinch to remember to give thanks. Bedroom, avoid salt on the bed. Better leave a gratitude notebook on the nightstand and write 3 lines before sleeping. Study or work area, don't leave salt on equipment. Instead, stick a note where you can see it that says, "My hands build and my decisions are wise." Bathroom, don't use salt in the shower or on your skin imprudently. If you want to feel the symbol on you, rub it for a second on your hands and wash with water. Sobriety, measure, and meaning. Now hear these 7 phrases many people repeat without realizing that corrode the atmosphere, and their salt-seasoned replacements. When everything turns out wrong for me is replaced with "today I learn and improve 1. Step 2, that's just how I am," is replaced with "I'm changing for the better." 3, "there's no way out," is replaced with "I don't see it yet, but I seek it with patience." 4, "I trust no one," is replaced with "I choose with wisdom who to open the door." 5, "there's never enough," is replaced with "I order my spending and honor what I have." 6, "we always fight," is replaced with "I hold my tongue for a second to listen." 7, "I'm no good at this," is replaced with I can learn, step by step. Every time you swap a phrase, you put salt in the conversation. You don't see it, but you feel it. In a few moments, I'll tell you the smartest times to do this preparation and how to sustain it without fatigue. Before that, if this content adds value, subscribe and share. Write right now in the comments, today I choose order in the small things. Your public commitment trains your heart in private. About the smart time, dawn has something special. The house is quiet, the mind clearer. If you can't in the morning, dusk is also powerful right before dinner. Avoid doing it in the middle of arguments. Ideally, there's silence or soft music. Repeat a short phrase while you move the spoon. Don't recite speeches. Don't turn this moment into a stage. What educates isn't the show, it's consistency. As for frequency, remember, once a week for 3 weeks, then once a month. There's no need for more. Empty repetition kills the meaning. I want to tell you another cinematic scene so you can visualize it as you practice. It's night. Outside there's noise. Inside you choose silence. You light the heat. The salt falls like dry snow. The wooden spoon draws circles. A warm lamp shows the non-existent steam because there should be no smoke. Your breathing matches the movement. You say softly, God, give me wisdom to open the right doors. You stop the heat before the color changes. The salt stays alive. You let it cool. A pinch at the threshold, a pinch at the table. You rub a little on your hands and wash. You look at the cleared table. You don't post anything. You live the moment. That simple scene stays in your memory and starts to influence other moments of the day. You choose better when speaking with a child, with a partner, with a colleague. That's the teaching. Salt reminds you to be salt. Now I'm going to leave you 10 questions and answers with a bit more detail, because I know the audience is varied and I want to avoid confusion. 1, is iodized salt okay? Yes, but watch medium heat more carefully because finer grains alter quickly. 2, can I use pink salt? You can, but it isn't necessary. The key is the process and your sober intention. 3, can I use a candle instead of a stove? With a candle, the temperature is irregular. I don't recommend it for toasting. Better a controlled stove. 4, what if the salt picked up a strange smell? Rest, discard, and repeat with less heat and less time. 5, how much exact time? Between 2 and 4 minutes is usually enough. But look and listen. If there's no smoke and the grains are dry, you're good. 6, how much quantity? Start with 1 or 2 tablespoons, no more. 7, can I store it? Yes, in a clean, dry jar for a week. Note, if it gets damp or the smell changes, don't use it. 8, should I give it to someone else? Teach them the process so they can do it in their home. Imposing doesn't add. 9, can it cause harm? We're talking about a domestic, sober use, without ingesting large amounts or doing imprudent things. Common sense. 10, and if I don't feel anything? Don't chase sensations. Observe facts. Calmer conversations, clearer decisions, small changes in the budget. The signs are sometimes silent, but real. I'll reinforce this with a sober biblical through-line, without labels or arguments. You are the salt of the earth. That speaks of vocation, to preserve, to give flavor, to prevent corruption. Let your words be seasoned with salt. That speaks of communication, building with grace, not destroying with shouts. The story of the bad waters healed with salt at the spring speaks of origin. If you fix the base, the rest changes. Your kitchen can be that symbolic spring where you decide to cut habits that don't give life and sustain habits that do. Now I'll leave you a simple plan to keep you motivated 14 more days, because consistency is what wins. Days 8 to 14. Choose one of the following micro actions per day and repeat it twice. Prepare the salt well and use a pinch at the threshold. Clean the table and leave a gratitude note. Practice answering after breathing for 3 seconds. Record the day's expenses in the AS notebook. Replace one harsh phrase with a seasoned phrase. Teach a family member without pressure. Check the jar, and if the salt smell has changed, renew it calmly. With these small repetitions, your mind learns a new normal. I want to open an important parenthesis about money and expectation. Many people come to these practices seeking urgent results. I propose another route, seek wisdom. That word is at the base of all real abundance. Salt on the heat, done well, helps you train patience, clarity, visible order. That combination produces better decisions. Better decisions open doors. I don't promise miracles overnight. I promise discipline with meaning. And I know from experience that discipline with meaning produces changes that surprise in weeks, not in hours. In 10 seconds, I'll give you a short, powerful declaration to seal this process and, at the end, a preview of what we'll see in the next video. Say softly, with intention, right now. God, I open my steps. In my home, there is order and peace. My hands build and my decisions are wise. Thank you. Repeat 3 times. Don't rush. Feel the weight of each word. When you finish, watch what happens around you in the next 3 days. There may be no background music or lights, but there will be signs, fewer interruptions when speaking, an opportunity you hadn't seen, an expense you decide not to make. Those are doors opening. I want you to verify it and tell it. If you've made it this far, it's because you care about real change. I'm going to ask you for something that helps everyone. Write in the comments, today I choose order in the small things. Commit publicly and observe in private. And share this video with 2 people you love. It's an act of care. Subscribe and turn on the bell to join us on this path. Here we speak about symbols with respect, about home, about honest work, about wise decisions. Here we practice the small to transform the big. I'll close with a clear synthesis for you to carry in your memory. Don't toast salt like that. Don't use metal over live flame. Don't burn it or brown it. Don't blow on it. Don't add sugar on the heat. Don't mix leaves over heat. Don't do it while complaining. Do it like this. Thick base, medium heat, wooden spoon, patience, silence with intention, resting without hurry. Bay leaf or cinnamon only when warm. A pinch at the door, a pinch on the table, a pinch on your hands and water. Repeat calmly, once a week for 3 weeks and then once a month. Sustain it with brief readings. You are the salt of the earth. Let your words be seasoned with salt. Record your expenses honestly. Observe signs. Adjust what needs adjusting. And don't forget the essential. Peace is worth more than noise. Order is worth more than rush. Wisdom is worth more than any shortcut. Before I say goodbye, listen to the preview of the next content. 7 words that, used at the table for 14 days, change the climate of a home. Number 5 will surprise you because we almost never use it, and it's the one that unlocks conversations the most. If you don't want to miss it, subscribe right now and keep the bell on. I'll be waiting for you. Now I want to read you. Write your commitment. Today I choose order in the small things and peace in my home. If you want, share in a comment what you saw in 72 hours. A sign, a different conversation, a cold-headed decision. That inspires others. And that community, I assure you, is also salt. If you're left with any doubt, listen again to the segment on mistake number 1 and repeat the process calmly. It's not about perfection, it's about learning. Each attempt educates. Every time you choose well, even in the small things, something big begins to move. Remember this image for any hard day. Salt breathing over medium heat. No smoke, no browning, moved with patience. A short phrase that orders the heart. A pinch at the threshold, a pinch at the table. Your hands that build. That's the map. That's your hidden code made visible. And when you do it with respect, something in you aligns, and the whole house feels it. Subscribe, share, and comment. I'll be reading and asking for peace for your table. Thank you for staying to the end. We started with a warning. We finish with a decision. Your decision. Today you chose order in the small things. And that, believe me, opens paths.